Did you love your wife?
Very much.
Did you ever create any sort of a plan with Juliana?
No, there was no plan. That is absolutely crazy.
Will Brendan Banfield be found not guilty? Well, the defendant is returning to the stand this morning for more testimony in the au pair affair murder trial. Plus, Banfield's shocking admissions about his affairs and his wife Christine's alleged affairs. We'll talk about the key takeaways from that Virginia courtroom. Plus, targeted and tracked. New court documents allege that the Tepes were stalked by Monique Tepe's ex-husband before the murders. We'll discuss. And there's a viral video out of California that shows a baby falling from a moving vehicle. So how in the world does this happen? And should the baby's mother face charges? It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Thursday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. We got a great show planned for you. I'm so glad you're here. We'll kick it off as we always do. Grab that cup of coffee. It's time for my opening statement. Jamie Foxx famously sang "Blame It on the Alcohol." Mr. Taxman is singing "Blame It on the Au Pair" and the affairs. Yes, affairs, plural. Mr. Taxman claims that the au pair came on to him, but says that he never planned to get rid of or leave his wife, Christine, because he claims that having affairs is just what he does. Claims that his wife knew of at least two of his previous affairs before the affair with the au pair. So how many affairs were they? How many women is this guy seeing? I mean, I believe that he's a cheater. I believe that. But I have a hard time believing he's such a hot commodity. This guy's not Harry Styles. He's the tax man. So I call pants on fire on his affairs, plural, and Christine being accepting of them. I also call pants on fire on him claiming that Christine was having affairs. I don't buy that for a second. And he better be careful playing the blame game when it comes to Christine, because she's a victim here who lost her life in a violent, horrific way. Joseph Ryan is a victim too, and we aren't forgetting that either. I tell you what, my friends, today, Mr. Taxman better have his fire extinguisher handy, because I have a feeling what he's about to say will be even worse than what we heard on Wednesday. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, time for your daily docket.
Did you have the opportunity to make observations about Jennifer's body?
Yes, I did.
And what observations did you make?
She had extensive fire injuries throughout her body, to include charring, skin splitting, soot deposits throughout pretty much the entirety of her body.
All right, in New Jersey, we got the state's case continuing in the Mansion murders trial for defendant Paul Cadero. Court gets underway at 8:30. In Florida, we got the Alexander brothers. They're in court this morning at 11 a.m. Alon, Oren, and Tal Alexander are all charged with federal sex trafficking crimes. And in Virginia, we got defendant Brendan Banfield returning to the stand at 10 a.m. this morning in the au pair affair murder trial. And that is where we begin this morning here on Opening Statements, as jurors got to hear from him firsthand. He admitted to having an affair with the au pair, but denies that there was ever a plan, so to speak, with the au pair to get rid of his wife, Christine.
Did you ever create any sort of a plan with Juliana?
No, there was no plan. At this point, our relationship is maybe 6 to 8 weeks old. I think that it's an absurd line of questioning for something that is not serious, that a plan was made to get rid of my wife. That is absolutely crazy.
Is it crazy? No. What did you think of his testimony? Hit us up on social media. Let us know. I want to bring in our guests and see what they think about this here. With me, high-profile celebrity attorney John Phillips is here, and so is retired NYPD Detective Tom Smith, also a co-host of the Gold Shield Show. Good morning to you, gentlemen. John Phillips, I'll start with you. Kick us off with your thoughts on Mr. Banfield.
he looks like the Timo version of Elon Musk, right? And he's trying to sell a story that's just riddled with how absurd it is, how preposterous it is, and not just speaking from the heart. Like, you would think this double murder would give a little bit of charisma, a little bit of sympathy, a little bit of empathy, but it's like how preposterous this is. And it's just red flag city going on here in Jacksonville, Florida at my desk.
Yeah, no, I think so too, John. Tom Smith, your thoughts, please, on Mr. Banfield. You buy in what he's selling?
No, I completely agree with John. You know, when you have someone who's involved in a double murder and he's up there smirking, and I'm always intrigued by the words, "That's a crazy idea," you know, or "That's crazy." That never works. And just his body language, his smirking, his turning his head around while he's getting questioned is just sort of a deflection of, I really don't want to hear this, but I'm going to have to answer it. And I just think it's a play, it's a show, and it's all going to backfire on him.
I'm with you, Tom. So let's take a look at Brendan Banfield talking about how his relationship with the au pair changed.
When she was talking about different people, she was described people that she was interested in, people that were taller, people that were older, and it appeared to me that she was, along with the photos, that the screenshots that she had shown me of people that she had matched with, that she was basically describing me.
And so what did you do at that point?
I did not stop her advances. She came with me into my bedroom.
John Phillips, what do you think? He says she came on to him. Not that it matters. They got together. They slept in the murder room. What do you think about him? Is he coming off as credible, believable to you?
He's not. I mean, we talked about this the last couple of weeks. Would he testify? And I was like, if he does, he better be ready. You know, he better have a level of charisma. And again, I'm seeing narcissism. And oftentimes in these big, bitter divorce leads to murder things, you've got a narcissistic spouse who's controlling and selling a narrative, and somebody that's either under coercive control or kind of trying to just get out. And you know, I'd love to know the whole history behind them, but it just reeks of bad body language, of, you know, you got to look at the age disparity, the country of origin disparity. You know, this isn't, you know, Tom Cruise saying, oh, you know, she was describing me and, you know, as luck would have it, you know, again, Elon Musk.
Yeah, the au pair was looking for Tom Cruise on the dating app, right? I got another clip for you, Tom. I'm going to come to you on the other side. This is where he's talking about taking the au pair to the gun range.
Generally, I would go to a shooting range every month, every other month, to practice before my qualifications for my job.
In having her come to the range, was there any plan that she was going to back you up on some plan?
I mean, there was no plan at this point when we had gone to the range. There was none of the suspect email account. There was no FetLife account. There was no Telegram messages. None of that existed at the point that we went to the range. I did not know about them till after Christine died.
So he just happens to train her how to shoot, just happens to buy her a gun. She happens to have it on her that day at the time when the homicides were about to go down. Tom Smith, your thoughts on this aspect of the case?
Yeah, there's so much to unpack with that, just that little clip. So he's saying that he went to the range, but see what he does. He removes all the bad stuff. We went to the range, but it was before this. We went to the range, but it was before this. So he's making excuses as to what the outcome of this case is going to be. You know, everything was beforehand, and it had nothing to do with each other, which is not going to work too well. And then if you watch him, and John can definitely, you know, lay into this, he doesn't want to look at the jury. He starts off looking at them, but then as he's talking, he turns his eyes away. So he really doesn't want to tell them what's going on. He never fixes on the jury. He starts off, but then as he starts talking, because now he's understanding what he's saying, he keeps moving away from the jury. And that, to me, being involved in numerous court cases is a big sign.
Definitely. Great observation, Detective. The shifty eyes. John Phillips. Jurors pick up on that, don't they?
They absolutely pick up on it. And like I wrote it at this point times two. Like, again, he's over explaining. Well, at this point, this hadn't happened yet. How would you know? Like unless you were part of the plan, how would you know at what point? And I get you can go back and look at evidence, but just the shiftiness, the way that he's looking for his lawyer as a crutch. You know, when you're hitting the high point of the lie, you like look for that trusted face, and it's a bad day. Like it's not going well.
Right, John, I agree. How about him talking about being a federal agent? Detective Smith, what do you think this fact does for the jury in this whole mess that they're considering?
Well, he's thinking of it as it makes him look better. You know, I'm trusted, I'm this kind of guy. But the jury's going to have a different view of, yeah, you are, but you went and did this, and you're involved in this, and you're involved in that. So that just discredits him completely into what, you know, he's trying to act like, you know, of this persona of I'm this trusted person in the community, and it's going to backfire. It's going to backfire dramatically with him.
I'm with you, Tom. John, we got some notes from our team inside the courtroom that as soon as he started, one of the jurors who was very close to him was sitting with arms crossed in front of him, and apparently some were note-taking as well, which note-taking is hard to tell what that means, but the arms crossed, oh, you know, never really liked that when jurors would do that when I'm in front of them. Your thoughts on that?
You know, you never know, and you always overinterpret body language. I've had, you know, people look at me arms crossed and then give me, you know, millions of dollars seconds later. And so it just depends. But given what you see with him and, you know, turned off body language, I as the prosecutor would be very happy about that. And again, you know, the overselling of the IRS agent, you know, right now, probably not the time that people are loving on IRS agents that are going to a firing range with their nanny. Like this is not a good look in any way. And you're so smug, like you're the hero. I guess this is the Hail Mary, but I think it's going to fall, you know, incomplete.
Well said, John. Well said. John, Tom, a great discussion with you both. Thank you much. We're going to hit a break, but when we come back, we are going to continue talking about Brendan Banfield.
Also indicated to her that I had previous affairs, and that really this was just an affair, and not that there would be no other relationship, that there's and that basically that this is something that I have had affairs previously.
The affairs and the FetLife account. So what do you find believable? Plus, stalked weeks before the killings. New details are emerging in the investigation of the murders of Dr. Spencer and Monique Tepe.
Did an affair lead to double murder?
The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has secured an indictment against Brendan Banfield for the murder of his wife, Christine, and the murder of Mr. Ryan.
Prosecutors allege the defendant planned to run away with the family's au pair. So he killed his wife and another man.
He was there, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill her.
It's a case of sex, lies, and deadly deception.
The Au Pair Affair murder trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Did you love your wife?
Very much.
Did you want to continue your marriage with your wife?
Yes.
Brendan Banfield's admitted infidelity is what's trending in true crime this morning. When he took the stand on Wednesday, he acknowledged his affair with the family's au pair, Juliana Magalhaes. But he also told the jury that he had multiple affairs during the course of his marriage to his wife, Christine. And then he also claims that she was having affairs too.
I had also indicated to her that I had previous affairs, and that really this was just an affair, and not that there would be no other relationship, that there's, and that basically that this is something that I have had affairs previously, and that there's nothing that changes in mine and Christine's relationship.
Was she aware of your previous affairs?
She was aware of at least 2 previous affairs.
Okay, and likewise, were you aware of her affairs?
Yes, I was also aware that she had affairs.
Now, of course, Christine isn't alive to defend herself, but is it believable that she was cheating on him too? Is it believable that he had so many affairs? Let's talk about this with someone who analyzes behavior, criminology expert, author, and professor at St. Thomas University, Dr. Debbie Goodman. Good morning, Dr. Debbie. Oh, we couldn't wait to talk to you this morning. Your thoughts on Mr. Banfield and all of his affairs going on?
Thank you, Julie. Good morning. And please, I must compliment your introduction. It was great. I mean, it always is. But today, I could not stop smiling and laughing with the pants on fire. This is no Harry Styles.
Do you like the Harry Styles reference? Yeah.
I loved
He's
it
no
all.
Harry Styles.
But Julie, truly, I'm a professor. I have to give Mr. Banfield an F. I mean, he is failing miserably. He's floundering. He's looking foolish. So I don't believe anything he is telling us, with the exception of the one thing, the affair with Miss Magalhaes. And really, for me, I see this case about the 3 M's, if you will, the mistress, the money, and murder. And it just appears as if there was motivation here, down the line of his participation in this affair, which likely motivated him to want to end the marriage, but unfortunately not in the legal, lawful manner that people do, but instead, sadly, tragically, I believe, choosing murder because he wanted to be with the mistress and he did not want to pay child support. But in terms of his credibility, Julie, what he's saying, how he's saying it, he's really coming across in such a grandiose, narcissistic, even manipulative manner. And I really do not like it all and take great offense to what's happening now with the victim blaming. You and your staff do such a great job with the Voice for Victims segment. And you're right, we cannot speak with Christine. She's the decedent. So to even go down the path that he's going to victim blame, well, she too was having an affair. So it's like this tit for tat. I don't believe him.
Yes, Dr. Debbie, I love everything you said, and thank you for the kind words. That means a lot to me and my team here. Let's just do this like we would do in your classroom, Professor. Let's just do some analysis. And so for the sake of our analysis, let's say that the au pair was behind all of this, that she was the mastermind. Because if we believe his story, she was. He's blaming her. So if we believe she was the one who set it all up, orchestrated it, everything that happened that day is all on her. Dr. Debbie, when we take a step back and look at that fact pattern, does it seem possible to you that this young au pair could have masterminded it all?
It really does not, Julie, because I just don't think that the fact pattern would align with her decision making. You see, as we know, all of the cases we discuss on your program about murder, a decision has been made. The mens rea actus reus, as we refer to with each case, the criminal state of mind, the desire to commit the act, and then carrying it out. You see, he had what he thought, I believe, everything to gain. I believe she was going along, for the ride, so to speak, and potentially thinking, okay, if I'm with this individual, I'll have a comfortable life. But yet, for me, Julie, as a criminologist, the more elaborate the stories, the more complex and complicated these crime scenes are and the backstories to them, the more I think these people are lying.
Yes, Dr. Debbie, I couldn't agree with you more. We know she's not a good person here. We know that she, had this affair, disrupted the marriage. We know that she was involved. She shot an innocent man. She admitted to all these. This is a bad person. Just to put it frankly, I don't think she's that smart to do this. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to say that, but thank you.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
do
okay.
agree, Julie. Yes, and also when, again, back to just the classification of this crime, uxoricide, when the husband kills the wife. I checked the data last year, 2025, 609 cases. We don't even call it intimate partner violence. We call it intimate partner homicide. And, in part, it's a little reminder of the case you just concluded with Kevin West and the battalion fire chief, comparing him to Mr. Banfield. We seemingly have these well-educated, well-trained individuals participating in the extramarital conduct, and then, as you've said before, creating these plots, these plans where they think they'll get away with it, and oh wow, I'm surprised I didn't get away with it.
Right, Dr. Debbie, exactly. I want to turn your attention to something else now, the catfishing theory. We know the defense is trying really hard to debunk this entirely. They called an expert who went into great detail. We know that prosecutors are saying that these two characters were both behind the FetLife account, posing as Christine, doing the catfishing of Joseph Ryan. And we heard from a digital forensic expert that the catfishing just didn't happen. Let's look back at that.
Based upon your review of this data, were you able to draw any opinions related to this case?
I was.
And what were those opinions?
That catfishing did not occur.
Okay, and again, that was a defense's expert, in case you might have missed his testimony. It went on for a couple of days, very detailed. So what do we think about the way in which this was done with a FetLife account? Either Christine did it, or the au pair did it, or the au pair and Brandon Banfield were behind it. Somebody was. Dr. Debbie, talk to me about this part of the facts. Does anything kind of stink to you with the way this supposedly went down?
Yes, I just don't believe, Julie, that Christine had this profile. I do think that Mr. Banfield created this elaborate, complicated, complex story. Miss Magalhaes went along with it, seemingly, okay, if that's the story, then I'll back it up. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it's too complicated. It's too complex. Let's bring in this strange man with whom allegedly Christine is to have this sexual encounter and interaction, and I'm coming in to defend her, and she's stabbed to death. The whole thing, to use your word, it stinks. It really does. I do not believe it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dr. Debbie. Great analysis from you, as always. You're right. This case is about mistress, money, and a murder, 2 murders, and depending upon who you believe, he's saying this was a shooting in self-defense. We'll see what he says today when he'll be cross-examined. Dr. Debbie, we've got to let you get off to class. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll see you soon. Friends at home, don't go anywhere except to get a little more coffee, maybe. You won't want to miss what's coming up next.
They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times, and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in. At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what.
We're learning more this morning about where the suspect was in the weeks before the killings. Plus, wild video of a baby, look at this, flying out of a car. Should the baby's mother face charges?
State of Ohio versus Michael McKee. It's 26 CR 253. There are 5 counts. 4 counts of aggravated murder, unclassified felonies, and 1 count of aggravated burglary, felony 1. Each of these counts come with a 3 and a 6-year firearm specification.
This morning, we're giving a voice to victims as new court documents are showing that Ohio murder suspect Michael McKee was allegedly stalking his ex-wife before she was murdered. Those court documents reveal that McKee was allegedly spotted on the property of Dr. Spencer and his wife Monique Tepe weeks before their deaths. Now, according to the affidavit, it happened on December the 6th. The Tepes were at a Big Ten championship football game that night. Court records say Monique left the game at halftime to go back to the hotel. Court records say Spencer told friends that Monique was upset about something involving her ex-husband. Just a few weeks later, the couple was discovered dead in their home.
Columbus Police, Tech 107.
Yes, I would like to ask for a wellness check on an individual at their home.
Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm currently in the state of Florida. I'm on vacation, but this individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
Makes you wonder, when did McKee allegedly hatch the plot to murder his ex-wife and her husband? Let's analyze his behavior now with coercive control and domestic abuse expert Dr. Lisa Fontes. Good morning, Dr. Lisa. Thank you for coming on the program. I think what it can be stunning to some is that there was quite a separation of years from the last time that Monique Tepe was married to this man to the behavior that's in question now that he's accused of. Does it surprise you that there could allegedly be an act of violence done by him after so many years have passed?
We see a very dangerous pattern here. He allegedly shows signs of having strangled her, of having given her lethal threats. He's defied court orders. He's alleged to have forced her to have sex, and now we see the stalking. So this pattern is a pattern that can persist for years after separation. A lot of people like to tell a victim, oh, just leave and it'll all be over. But often it's not over, as it seems to be the case right here.
Right, we're talking about post-separation abuse. And we talk about this a lot, Dr. Lisa, on this program. I know this is your first time joining us, and we're delighted to have you. We talk a lot about how the most dangerous time for a victim is when they leave. And we stress how you need to use the help of professionals who can get you out safely. Here, I think what can be stunning is so many years went by and Monique Tepe was fine. But the allegation is that this ex still wanted to do her harm so many years later. How can that be?
Let's question for a second the idea that she was fine. I don't really know what else happened. There are rumors that he threatened to move in next to her, that he said that she would always be his wife. So he wasn't letting go of her, and that's a sign of high lethality. So I don't really know how fine she was. She had a protective order, but that didn't stop him from, it appears, being within range of her home, within her property, less than a month before their death. So that period after separation can be really dangerous. Now, as you say, usually it's the 18 months after separation that are the most problematic. And in this case, it was years. But he just didn't let go. He was obsessed with her. And unfortunately, we see that quite a bit.
For anybody who looks at this case and thinks, my gosh, you know, it could have been me. You know, for anybody who may be watching right now who thinks, oh my gosh, I have an ex who has behaved this way. What do you say to them, Dr. Lisa?
I say that, I mean, really what I want to talk to is the police and the court system to give continuing protection to people who have left this kind of relationship over time. But what I say to them is that they should get protection from the courts, that moving to a different community often increases their safety. It's good to have cameras outside the home. But in this case, it appears that Monique did absolutely everything she could to ensure her safety. Now, I don't know in what ways he may have been stalking her electronically. I'm curious about how he knew that she was not in the home. And that, I'm sorry, during that time that she went away to that event out of town, where he did come towards her home. So I'm curious about whether he was tracking her electronically, and I have no information on that. But what I would say to people is contact your local domestic violence agency, develop a safety plan, get an advocate to come with you to the police station and to the court. When you try to get your protective order, you're much more likely to get good treatment from the police if you have a domestic violence advocate with you. I'm glad to see you have that hotline number up there. That's exactly what people should do. They can also go to domesticshelters.org and find out how to contact their local shelter or local agency. They provide more than shelter.
I want to dig in some more on the affidavit. You mentioned a couple of these things, Dr. Lisa. We know that according to some friends of the Tepes who spoke with investigators after the homicides, Monique had told them that her ex-husband had been abusive while they were married, had threatened her both during the marriage and after the marriage. At least one witness told investigators he had forced unwanted sex on her and strangled her. Also made some comments that, quote, he could kill her any time and that he would find her and buy the house right next to her and that she will always be his wife. I want to zero in on that last line there, Dr. Lisa. What does that statement say to you?
That says to me that he was obsessed with her. He wasn't going to let her go, and that is a high risk behavior. That's a high risk thing for him to say. We see the strangulation, the lethal threats, the forced sex, defying court orders, the stalking, and this sense of you are mine forever is very scary. And he was a surgeon. He is a surgeon, as far as I understand it. So we know that domestic violence occurs in all walks of life. Sometimes it's hard for the courts and the police and even neighbors and friends to take seriously this kind of threat when it's perpetrated by someone who has a high station in life, you know, education, money, and so on. But as we can see here, it appears that well, we know that people in all walks of life can commit domestic violence and commit domestic violence homicides.
Oh, yes. For anybody who wants to see what it's like, go to any courthouse today nearby you. Watch, take a seat in the gallery. You'll see men wearing suits being accused of domestic violence, perhaps doctors like this guy. It's something that is a problem across our society that isn't talked about enough and that is so incredibly common. I can't stress that enough. It knows no boundaries in terms of class, age, race, sex. And that's why we want to talk about it here. I have one clip I want to play now to end the segment. This is from Rob Misley, the brother-in-law of Monique Tepe, and he is, excuse me, of Dr. Spencer Tepe, rather, and he's the one who's taking care of the children now.
You think that you just took 2 lives, but you took so much more than that. You took a daughter and a son, a brother and a sister, cousins, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, friends, and obviously 2 amazing parents, 2 just innocent children who will never know them again. So you just took so much more.
You can just feel the pain in his voice hearing him speak. The kids, let's talk about the kids, Dr. Lisa. Left unharmed, so was the dog, but yet the harm for them, I can't imagine what going through life is going to be for them.
It's a absolutely tragic loss that they have now and that they will carry with them forever. The trauma of losing one parent, but here we have 2 parents, their home, They will eventually find out if they don't know. Maybe the older child understands already what happened, but they will eventually find out what happened. The sense of safety will be shattered for these children, for the family, for the community. There's a lot of damage, and I think that their friends described that very well. There are ripples of damage that will occur over time, and I'm sure these children will get excellent treatment, but there will be a hole in their heart where their parents used to be.
Yeah, no doubt. Dr. Lisa Fontes, thank you. As we go to break, we want to take a moment to remember the victims, Dr. Spencer and Monique Tepe. Their family calls them the life of the party. They were proud parents of two beautiful young children and their beloved golden doodle. And they created a home filled with warmth and with happiness. They are surely missed.
Did an affair lead to double murder?
The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has secured an indictment against Brandon Banfield for the murder of his wife, Christine, and the murder of Mr. Ryan.
Prosecutors allege the defendant planned to run away with the family's au pair. So he killed his wife and another man.
He was saying, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill her.
It's a case of sex, lies, and deadly deception.
The au pair affair murder trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Get this offer. A California mom is in hot water this morning after a viral video shows her baby falling out of a moving car. Take a look at this. Dash cam video caught the moment where a 19-month-old baby falls from the front seat of that black SUV. Officials say the incident happened on the morning of January 20th, and there were no initial calls made for any police response. But then days later, a witness came forward with more information on that vehicle. On Monday, police released this statement identifying 35-year-old Jacqueline Hernandez as the driver, as well as the child's mother. Hernandez was arrested for felony child abuse, but later released after posting bond. Prosecutors are considering whether to charge her right now. What should they do? And let's back up for a second. Why was that baby unsecured in the front seat? There's a lot to talk about here. Let me bring in my guest. Still with me, Attorney John Phillips. Want to welcome in retired Chief Judge Belvin Perry. Good morning to you both. Judge, I'll start with you. What did you think when you saw this?
Julie, the first thought that went through my mind, it was a miracle that that child was not killed or severely injured. And a lot of questions popped up in my mind as a result of that. Was the child in the car seat? Why did the door open? So there are numerous questions to be answered by this investigation.
Definitely, Judge. John, your reaction, your thoughts as soon as you saw that video?
Shock, you know, again, as a parent of a 13, 11, and 8-year-old, I've done a lot of that. A lot of kids in restraints, and this cannot happen if you do it even remotely properly. And so, you know, under California law, there's no exception. Kids under 2 have to be securely locked down, and then you step it up from there. And this is a level of child abuse. This is a level of child neglect. Like, every authority needs to take a look at this.
Yes, we've got the law right here. We'll put it up on the screen. In California, felony child abuse involves actions causing a traumatic physical condition going beyond reasonable discipline. Penalties can be anywhere from 2 to 6 years in state prison. Additional enhancements if somebody's got priors within the last 10 years. Judge Perry, do you think this constitutes felony child abuse?
Well, what the state of California would have to prove is, one, that she willfully permitted a child to be endangered under circumstances likely to produce great bodily harm. Looking at the limited information that we have now, one could tend to think, by placing that child in the seat, probably not only not securing her in the seat, and the question is, why did that door open? She probably didn't even lock the door properly. So chances are, based upon additional evidence, that she may be charged with child abuse.
Right, Judge? You know, the charge I kept thinking of as soon as I saw this, and I didn't know what they arrested her on, first thought, I thought endangering the welfare of a child. Right there. I thought that, you know, in many jurisdictions, you know, it might be a lower grading than felony child abuse, depending upon where you are, because as the judge said, if you don't have the willful conduct, as he explained, you know, perhaps just the conduct that is so negligent. Like, let's say, John Phillips, that baby was unbuckled in the front seat and the baby just reached and the car door's unlocked. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know how it happened, but maybe. Do you think that would be proper for an endangering charge?
Criminal culpable neglect is how we charge it in almost all of the states I practice in. And you got to think of the hot car deaths, right? And those hot car death cases are a lot more vague and have a lot more, you know, subjectivity than this. This is a too small child who clearly opened the door. I was trying to see the make and model of the car because that should have had automatic locks that a kid couldn't unlock, but this is all sorts of problems.
Definitely, and I'm sure this is going to infuriate both of you. According to Yahoo News, this child was said by authorities to have sustained injuries consistent with that fall and had to be hospitalized. They say that they expect the baby to make a full recovery, but still the fact that this child was injured. Judge, what do you say to that?
Well, it is due totally to her gross conduct in this particular case. But for the luck, she could have ran over the child. But for fate, the second vehicle could have ran over this child. And after that, let's just think if the child had fell head first directly into the concrete, we could have had a totally different result. So, as this case moves along, we're going to see what other evidence that they uncover that may lead to a more serious form of this charge.
Definitely, Judge. John Phillips, would you do me a favor? Look at it from this mother's perspective. What should she be doing right now?
Standing firmly behind the Fifth Amendment and trying to find a glitch in the car that the door did not shut and the force of the turn propelled the door open. But again, you wouldn't have this happen if the child was at a safety seat. So, you know, no matter how many things she attacks, she's still culpably neglect from civil and criminal. There's nobody to sue her, but from all perspectives with DCF, you know, whatever the equivalent of that is in California, it's just she's got a lot of investigation coming her way.
Yeah, most definitely. This is just, the more you watch it, the more you realize this really was a miracle. Like you said, Judge, this was just by the grace of God or fate or luck or, you know, something that this baby wasn't killed. It takes your breath away when you look at that video. Thank God the child is okay. And as we get ready to see what happens, I'll take predictions as my last question to you both before we go. Judge Perry, do you predict she'll be charged?
I think she will be charged if they come up with some rationale as to one, whether she was in the car seat or not in the car seat, and two, what caused that door to open. Once they answer those questions, she's going to be charged with something.
Appreciate it, Judge. John Phillips, quickly, will she be charged?
She will. California's been aggressive on the hot car death cases, and I think this is easier to prove than that.
Excellent analysis from you both. As always, Judge Belvin Perry, Attorney John Phillips, thank you both so much for being on Opening Statements today. And friends at home, thank you for watching the show. If you loved it, tell your friends about it, share it. We put all the episodes up for you on courttv.com. Just click on that red shows tab.